And now, making their way into the arena, hailing from the great pro wrestling state of Massachusetts, they are the hosts of the Top of the Cage podcast. Here are Bill and Juice.
And thank you again, Rich Palladino, the voice of New England, always making us sound so good. And yes, ladies and gentlemen, it is I am the super producer. I am Bill, joined always by my tag team partner, my wrestling confidant. He is the future booking genius and the prince of pro wrestling podcasts. He is Justin Juice Cannon.
Boom.
Boom, baby.
I almost didn't do the boom this time.
No, boom.
I almost just did a little Eddie shake and just say Viva La Raza.
Well, that would be appropriate, which we will get into a little bit later in our WrestleMania review. But this weekend overall, as of this recording this past weekend, was the WrestleMania greatest show of all shows in wrestling, as they always call it. But before that, Juice, of course, there was NXT Stand and Deliver, which I thought was a pretty good show overall. I think that it really...
Did it deliver?
I don't know if it delivered fully, but I definitely stood for some moments of it. What were some of your takeaways from Stand and Deliver?
My match of the night was Waller versus Gargano. I didn't see that much buzz about the match at first, but starting to now. And you know me, I'm a diehard Gargano fan. I love the Gargano family. Give me more Johnny. Give me more Candice LeRae. This match had both of them being badasses, and Johnny won, which just put a smile on my face. I mean, I'm still smiling. I love it. I love it. It was a chaotic, fun, unsanctioned match. Was it Johnny's best unsanctioned match? No. The one with Ciampa at New Orleans during WrestleMania 34. Am I correct? Well, I know it's TakeOver, but I think that was the WrestleMania. It was that TakeOver happened, but this one still was great. And I thought it was the match of the card, and it was a pretty solid card. Another takeaway, I thought the main event was a little disappointing. I didn't think it was bad. Like I have all my ratings for every match, like the entire weekend WWE wise. I gave it a 3 out of 5. It was fun. It was a good match. I think we'll get a rematch soon. I think the rematch could be better. I think me and you might be there live for the rematch. It was a good event. Really great opener. That women's ladder match was chaotic. Every woman got to shine. It's also, they picked the perfect 5 people. I think Aoife Valkyrie is athletic and really good in the ring, and it showcased her skills. Zoe Stark, I think, is phenomenal wrestler in the ring, and just general. I think she's underrated. I think that's someone definitely to look out for. Tiffany Stratton, I think, is also another one to look out for. I mean, I've hyped her up on the podcast before, and she also, I thought her and Zoe Stark were the stars of that match, in my opinion. But they all had great spots. So if your opinion's different, I respect that, because I think all 5 ladies proved that they were in that match for a reason. Gigi was great. JC had to get involved because she's a petty bitch. Roxy, that's the reason she was a champ. She's a little prodigy, doing prodigy things. And of course, the winner, Indy Hartwell. The win was a little weird, but I love Index, so I still popped for it, even though I didn't think it was the best way for the new champ to be crowned. You give me Index moment, I'll eat it up. And those are my main takeaways from the 3 matches that left the biggest impressions. Oh, the North American match was another one that I would mention before I turn over to you. That match was also chaotic and just a total spot fest. But it wasn't just a spot fest. And I think that's what I really loved about it. It did incorporate stories and incorporated Axiom constantly trying to get that title and him really the showcase that this I waited too long and now it's time for me to show out and do everything I can. I think it seemed like he was the most motivated of the bunch, and I loved how they did that. Ilya and JD with their never-ending feud, definitely, and they were just furious and wrecking everyone in order to get each other. And at times were just tunnel vision toward each other, which I loved, and it cost them both the match. And I loved how they did that. And it was also just Wesley showing that he's a resilient champion that loves the challenge. And you can beat him up, you can beat him down, but he'll keep grinding, and he thrives off it. And he got that win and retained the title. And there was also Dragon Lee's big match debut. I think it's his first match in general, because his first TV match was yesterday in terms of us recording. It was a fun match. It was really good. Actually, I originally rated it a 3.75. I'm gonna bump it up because I actually think I'll give it the 4. I'll tie it with Waller versus Gargano, both 4s. I think that is a fun match. It was awesome. I talked myself into it, giving it higher rating because I think it wasn't just a spot fest. It accomplished so much.
Yeah, I actually really liked that North American Championship match. I thought all the guys in it definitely shone, and I'm really excited to see Dragon Lee in NXT after that match. I'm really excited to see how the never-ending feud of Dragunov and JD continues. I'm curious to see what Wesley's direction is now, because he just beat like 5 NXT mid-carders, quote unquote. So like, I don't really know who's next, and you might have some insight on that, on who's next, but I'm not too sure. I have yet to see the Waller Gargano match. I did skip through the main event just to kind of see the big moments. And I really liked the women's ladder match. I was texting you throughout my watching of it. It was a car crash in the best way. I think everybody in that match was phenomenal. I think they showed and played out to their strengths. I really was hoping GG was going to win, but of course, we had to have shenanigans happen to progress that feud. That only makes sense. I also didn't really expect Indy to win. Like, personally, I'm not the biggest Indy Hartwell person. She seems a little, I hate to say generic, because I don't know if generic's really the right word, but like, not a lot of flavor for me, like I liked when she was part of like the Way and the Gargano family stuff, and like that was interesting, right? Like that like gave them an interesting story, and obviously that's where Index became a thing. So if they're gonna play into the Index being like the main part of the women's programming on NXT television, great, but I don't know how necessarily it's gonna look moving forward. Overall, I thought the event was good, though. I definitely enjoyed watching it. I feel like I enjoyed Vengeance Day a little bit more, though, overall, especially because the tag matches I personally didn't care about. I don't even think I watched either of them. I think I watched the beginning of the men's tag and walked away to make food and never came back until... Actually, I don't even remember if I came back, to be completely honest. But I thought the event was great overall. I think it was a good showing for NXT. Happy to see my man Mello win. Mello, do not miss. It is the him era. I'm excited to see Braun turn heel. Seems like he might get one last match before going up to the main roster. But we can talk about the Raw after WrestleMania and everything coming up, because I think it's now time for us to talk about the showcase of the Immortals, and that is WrestleMania, the 2-night phenomenon. And it was 2 completely different shows, in my opinion. You and I watched night 1 together, so I know you and I are pretty on par in terms of how we felt about each of those night 1 matches. But night 2 was just like, honestly, night and day. I didn't think that it was terrible, but the quality of night 1 was just, in my opinion at least, better than night 2. I feel like the card was a little weaker for night 1, but the matches were showing up a little bit more.
I think for the most part, I agree with you. I thought when we watched night one, and I was like, that was really good. And I thought maybe that, like last year, night two, even though the card looked stronger, it might let down and be just meh. I didn't think it was meh. I thought it was actually good. But like most people, the ending of the final match definitely left a very sour taste in me. Was it best? But I say let's run down each match. Start with night one. We'll do it quickly. Some matches quick, some longer, because I kind of want to throw out the reviews a little bit. So I took time to write them all down. Well, we'll start with the leadoff match of night one, and that's Austin Theory versus John Cena for the United States title. I gave it a 2 out of 5 average match. It's not Cena's best performance, but it definitely put Theory over. Theory won, obviously cheating. I was curious how they'd finish this match and if they'd throw the curveball and have Cena win and then lose at Monday Night Raw, which I was hoping was going to happen. And that definitely would have made Raw more interesting, but that's not what we got. 31. And any takes on your match before we move on to match two?
It was a basic, plain match. Finish was about as I expected. I really feel like there was no pompous circumstance. Yeah, I have nothing special to say about that match.
There, and I don't think it should have lead it off. I think the match that should have lead off was the next match, the 8-man tag team showcase. Street Profits versus the Viking Raiders versus Alpha Academy versus who did I miss?
Strowman and Ricochet.
Yeah, Strowman, Braun Strowman and Ricochet. This match was only 8 minutes long, and I remember our takeaway was that should have been longer. That was so fun. And one guy I work with he said that was his favorite match of the weekend. And I actually saw online, yeah, a lot of people online kind of agreed. I think there was WWE put up posts like put your match like after night one, they're like match of the night, blah blah blah, and like different like superlatives, star of the night, stuff like that. And a lot of the best matches, people their response was that match, and I kind of don't blame them because when I'm thinking of, I remember a lot of moments from that match, like Chad Gable lifting up Braun Strowman, doing his move, the spot there. Braun Strowman doing the running around, doing his famous little train, but then getting stopped by Dawkins. Dawkins was a stud. He was one of my stars of the night because, he showed out in that match, man. But they all did. All 8 men had their moments. It was a fun, fast match. Too fast. I wish they were given more time because they all showed out. That should have been the opener. It was a blast. I give that one 3.25, and the only reason it's not higher because it was just too quick for me, and there was really no story. It was a spot fest because there was not enough time to really build stories and stuff in that one. And the stories that did exist, they didn't really capitalize on. Like Raiders and Ricochet and Braun have had a little minor story recently, and then Alpha and Street Profits have a past, but they didn't really capitalize on anything. Profits won. I thought I wouldn't have been mad at any of the teams winning. I love all 8 of these guys, all 4 of these teams. I mean, Strowman and Ricochet, that's like a makeshift tag team, but makeshift tag teams are part of WWE, and I love that there was only one in this match, and it's actually I find it funny how that team developed. I'm talking shit about Flippy Boys, and then that's Flippy and Braun, and I like it. Fun match, and Street Profits winning. I think that's the right call. But as I said, I don't think there was a wrong.
Yeah, no, I completely agree. I think that match was really fun. It was a great event, or a great showing for all those guys. I wish it was longer. I completely agree. I feel like it ended and then I was still wanting more. So very excited to see the Street Profits moving forward, because it seems like the seeds got planted that they might be next in line for the tag team titles, and or at least to be in contention for the tag team titles. So I'm always down to see the Street Profits wrestling good wrestlers, and Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn are great wrestlers. And of course, that is going to be the culmination of night one that we'll get to, but there's still many more other night one matches to talk about.
Yeah, we'll move on to number 3, and that's Seth Rollins versus Logan Paul. Really good match. Logan Paul keeps showing that he is just picking this up way faster than anyone else. We've had some good celebrity standouts, including Bad Bunny, who was involved in this event in capacity, which we'll get to next. But fun match, really good wrestling. Seth Rollins does not miss at WrestleMania. You might as well just call him the new Mr. WrestleMania, because he knows what he's doing. There's no doubt about that. But on WrestleMania, he still manages to turn up his already stellar game to just levels of awesomeness. And fun match. I love that Seth won. I was kind of worried he was going to lose, but he did not. Definitely deserved the win in this match. He's been taking a lot of L's recently, but he's a guy who can spare a loss. He can lose, because I mean, we know how good he is. He's accomplished so much already. The KSI thing is, we were talking about during the match that someone's definitely in the prime bottle that Logan came out with, the mascot, and it was KSI, and that was funny. And him getting front splashed into the table by Paul was great spot. Him just boasting, getting all cocky. It was fun. I thought it added a goofy, funny element to the match. It was interesting.
Yeah, I completely agree. And I thought both guys had good entrances too. I'm a big entrance guy. You know that. I thought Seth's look was interesting. I loved the coat entering, but I hated the hot pink pants. It was just hard to watch. They did not come across on television very well. But I thought that the match was all right overall. I don't think it was my favorite Logan Paul match. I think it probably ranks somewhere in the middle of them, being the 3-4 that he's had. Definitely better than the Miz stuff, but I'm still gonna say that his match with Roman was better than that match with Seth.
The match with Roman was definitely better. And I just want, you can continue. I just want to throw out my rating for it. 3.75.
No, I mean, I don't really have much more to say, because I definitely want to talk about the entrance of the Khan, Dom, and the entrances of Rey Mysterio as well. Because that match, I'm not going to lie, the match itself was okay. I personally have nothing to write home about the match. I knew there was going to be shenanigans, especially with Bad Bunny being ringside, and the rumors that it's going to be Judgment Day and Mysterio, Bad Bunny, and some form of legato involved in a tag match at Puerto Rico and Backlash. And I think that the story was really good going into it. I think the story really progressed throughout the match well. Like I said, the match, just nothing really to write home about for me.
That's where we disagree. I've actually rewatched this match twice already, because I just had fun. I thought it was a fun match. Was it overbooked? Yeah. I thought you could have left out Bad Bunny really getting involved in the match. Like,
could have also left out Cinnamon Toast Crunch.
Yeah, definitely should have left that out too.
Cinnamon Toast Crunch supports beating children. That was a tweet I saw. That was pretty funny.
This is another match with a lot of memorable things and noteworthy, just things to talk about. And at the water cooler with the fellow wrestling peoples, you just want to talk about some fun thing during WrestleMania weekend. I thought this is a match that definitely was a go-to. Like I said, a couple people from work I talked to about it, and this was definitely a noteworthy match. I gave it 3.5, and it's mainly just because of, one, memorable moments, and two, the entrances were just fire, especially Rey's. Awesome. Add to the match. The match obviously had a great long story. And like I said, great moments. Like the spanking of Dom was hilarious. I thought Dom throwing the water in his sister's face was funny, and Raylan holding her back. I'm a big Legato fan, so it gave them some way to get involved in the event too. And Ray got the win, as it was expected. But
I personally think Dom should have won. I feel like it's more for the put over of Dom than anything else.
That's who I wanted to win, but it was about Ray teaching his son a lesson, and it's obviously not over. But it was, I don't know. I just had fun. Like I talked to my dad and watched it the next day with my dad and picked up on things that I missed the night before. And I'm like, yeah, this is a blast of a match, I think. And that's what the important thing is. Is it a technical storytelling classic? I mean, no, but it was really fun, and it still told a really intriguing story that definitely captured my attention for a while. And anything else sad before we move on to the next match? But really, the previous match, because we skipped it because I forgot the order a little bit.
Nope.
Okay. So this match was after the Rollins match, but before the Dawn match, and it was Damage Control versus Trish, Becky, and Lita. I really don't have that much to say about it.
I forgot
it was a solid
about it.
match.
Genuinely forgot about it.
It wasn't the most memorable matches, but it was not a bad match. I rated it 3 out of 5 stars, and they didn't make many mistakes. It's 6 top level women performers. We were into it. We weren't like looking at our phones during the match or anything like that, which is important. But is it like a memorable WrestleMania classic? No. Is there a memorable wrestling match classic in general? No, not really. But it was a solid match. It was a good transition match between 2 matches that definitely left a big impression on me. So it kept the momentum of the show. It did not drain the audience. This has been an ongoing story. Becky and Damage Control is going on for forever. And I love to see Lita and Trish, reminds me of childhood. So getting them involved in WrestleMania was big. And yeah, it's a solid match.
Yeah, man, I don't really got much to say about it, in all honesty. I kind of forgot it even happened.
Fair enough. Like I said, nothing, no really big moments from that match. I mean, besides Trish paying homage to her old WrestleMania 21 look, and she's just
fine wine,
47
baby.
and just
fine wine,
just gorgeous. But leads us to our next match, and that was Pat McAfee versus The Miz.
So dumb.
I give it 0.75.
So dumb.
So not even a full star. It was bad. You got Kittle involved.
The crowd wasn't into it. That's just like straight up. The crowd did not care about that match at all. They didn't care about Pat coming back. They didn't care about Kittle.
Yeah, I kind of wish Pat came back and just started commentating the last couple matches instead. I think that would have been better. But it happened. It's over now. Let's move on to the next match. Let's not give this match any more attention. So next match was Rhea Ripley versus Charlotte Flair for the SmackDown Women's title. Banger. 4.25 for me. This was a great match. It started off pretty slow, I'll be honest, but it was still, good chain wrestling. They weren't making mistakes, and definitely wasn't slow to the point where I was looking away or on my phone.
Yeah,
I wasn't bored.
There were certainly points in the match where it seemed like it could end. I thought at some points either woman was going to walk out on top. Very, very happy with the result of this one. I was very happy with this match. This is probably in the top 3 to 4 of the matches of the weekend for me. Very, very happy with the result. I just really hope, as we're going to get into at the end, that nothing bad happens to Rhea Ripley with her title right now.
Yeah, give her a good one. Heel Rhea is always better Rhea to me. So her and Judgment Day, she's been doing great work with Judgment Day. I love the mommy character.
Judgment Day overall, man, they've been killing it. WrestleMania proved it.
A great faction, second most compelling, best faction in WWE right now. I mean, I love Imperium, but still, Judgment's number 2 after Bloodline. It's hard to really argue that. And Rhea is the glue. I think she's the glue that holds that group together. She's integral. She's huge, and she's doing an amazing job. Vince, don't screw it up. But we'll talk about Vince later. So let's move on to the main event of night 1. The Usos versus Sami Zayn and Kevin Owens. Usos are introduced by Lil Uzi Vert.
Weird.
Yeah, it's kind of out of nowhere, but
He said a total of 20 syllables in his whole time being on the stage. I like rap, and I'm not saying that as I hate rap. It sucks. I really like rap, but I'm not a mumble rap guy. I like some Little Uzi Vert songs, but it still was weird and out of place in my opinion.
This is fair. I thought it was a performance at first, not like an entrance.
Yeah, I thought we were getting some Flow Rida, give me the green light sort of deal.
Yeah, it was strange, but the match that followed was beautiful. I give this 4.75 out of 5.
And personally, I gave it a 5.
And the only reason I didn't give 5, I don't like handing out 5s, but there is a match this weekend that I gave a 5, but we'll get to that. And you probably already know what it is.
It's also probably a 5 for me too. So
yeah, but we'll get to that in night 2. This was a storytelling classic. It was emotional. It was compelling. My eyes were glued to the screen, and me and you both reacting together. There were so many close calls. I mean, everyone going in this pretty confident that Sami and Kevin are gonna win, but they kept us on our toes, man. They did a great job at telling the story. The first ever 1D kick out. Just a great hot tag from KO, which is a great spot. And the way the Huluva kicks from Sami won the match, like they kind of played off that Survivor Series moment when Sami finished KO with the Huluva kick, but this time it was Jay and it was their friend. He's like, okay, well, put inside one brother for his former brother. Just it was nice. It was awesome. And seeing them win their first tag team gold and doing it in LA, which is a city that they went over in the press conference. It's near and dear to their hearts because that's where they first teamed together in PWG. And then they also talked about the Briscoes, which just made me cry. And it was awesome. What a match. 4 great performers. I know I shit on the Usos a lot, but I respect them. They're one of the best tag teams in WWE history, and you can hear my voice. I'm saying this reluctantly, but I can't deny it. And it was an amazing match and one of the best tag team matches in WWE history, in my opinion, and also very, very worthy of being a WrestleMania main event.
Completely agree. It was delivered on every level that it needed to. Very, very happy with the result. But we're going to get into night 2 now, where I start to be less happy with the results.
All right. So the match that kicked off night 2 was the Battle of the Giants. It was Brock versus Omos. And I gave this 1.75 out of 5. I wasn't that into it. That was right below average. I'm sorry. I like beefy battles, but it was 4 minutes long.
No, it wasn't even a battle.
No, it was just almost beating the shit out of Brock. Brock ended it with that 5. Yeah, I wasn't into it. I don't think this is another match that shouldn't have been the opener. And I think it was just about Brock just wasn't into it either. And he just wanted to get his match out of the way and go home.
And it ended with a single F5. We've seen bigger and badder people kick out from more F5s. So I don't know. Made Omos kind of look like a little bit of a chump, but I was excited. I genuinely thought that was going to be an interesting match. I genuinely thought we were about to get like Brock bumping his ass off, and he did bump. I'm not going to act like he didn't bump, but like not to the level that could have been. But Brock is about getting quick paydays, brother, and it is what it is.
We can just go right into the next match. Was also just didn't interest me at all. It was the women's tag team showcase. Chelsea Green and Sonya versus Liv and Raquel versus Ronda and Shayna versus Natty and Shotzi. Yeah, so I got there this time. It was 2 out of 5. It was average. I had to rewatch it because the first time I blinked and it was over. Like I talked about Philadelphia with my dad and turned my head back to the screen. Ronda, Shayna already won the match. Like it was okay.
Yeah,
nothing
again,
special there.
another match to not write home about. I don't even remember anything from that match. I don't even remember how it finished. I couldn't even have remembered that Ronda and Shayna won, in all honesty.
Yeah, to be fair to the ladies, though, and it was a match that didn't have any story with it, but the men's showcase didn't either, and that was good. But that also, I think, still had more time than this one, and that wasn't a long match. So, yeah, it was the ladies getting. It was just a way to get Natty and Liv, Ronda and Shayna. Well, let's be real, not Shayna. All respect to Shayna, but get Ronda, Liv, and who did I just say? Natty onto the card because WWE holds them in high esteem. Nothing against the other five. I like a lot of the other five, but WWE holds those three in more esteem than the rest, and wanted to make sure they got on the showcase Immortals, which they did, but they definitely did not steal the show. Well, let's talk about the match that's next that definitely stole the show. I gave this 5 out of 5. This was my type of match. I love my stiff matches. This was a meaty men match. This European beasts going at it. Gunther versus Sheamus versus McIntyre for the Intercontinental title. This was special. You put Gunther and Sheamus in the ring, we already know there's a banger. Then yet throw in Drew McIntyre, a guy, underrated guy who definitely should get another world title reign since he never got to be in front of the crowd. But you add him, it's even bigger banger. And this was everything I wanted it to be and more. It was brutal. It was a technical masterpiece. It was 3 of the best brawlers the company has. It was, oh, dude, it was fire. It was fire. This is a classic. There's not much more to add besides that. I love chops. I love suplexes.
That match was phenomenal. Man. Just god damn, did I love that match. I really loved the brutality, the story, the hype. Personally, I would have had Sheamus won because that man deserves the Intercontinental Championship. I cannot believe that they have not given him the Intercontinental Championship, considering how long he's been feuding with Gunther. And I understand that Gunther is going to be, after this reign, considered one of the greatest Intercontinental champions of all time, especially with just how dominant he's been throughout this whole reign. And literally, and you and I talked about this, how he has put the Intercontinental Championship back into relevancy. I truly believe that Sheamus would have been a great person to carry on that after. And even if it was just for him to win it and lose it at the next pay-per-view again to Gunther or whoever, I wouldn't have been upset about that. Truly would not have been upset because I felt like Sheamus deserved it. But god damn that all 3 of those guys deliver. They all looked so fucking good throughout it too. Outside of their chest. Their chest did not look good.
No, they were definitely looked beat up and worse for wear, but it was also full of so many moments where I thought it could have been over. All 3 guys had spots where I'm like, they're about to win, geez. And just it was heart stopping. The whole crowd standing ovation after the commentators stood up. Everyone knew that they saw magic. Well, from the freaking first couple minutes, it was a banger right off the bat. It started hot and it stayed hot, and it got hotter and hotter and hotter till it burned my eyeballs. I had to go get new ones, because the fire, it was just hot, super hot fire, and it was that's how hot fire it was. That's how fire the match was. It just destroyed my eyeballs someplace. The next match was Bianca Belair versus Asuka for the Raw Women's title. It was a solid match. I give this 3 out of 5. I think it was hurt by where it was in the card. Going after that triple threat, I knew that. I mean, I knew it was going to be a great match going into the weekend. I thought, whatever match goes after that, I'm sorry. And yeah, it wasn't, I think, like that 6-man, the women's tag from the night before. It was a solid match with good wrestling, but it didn't really have any moments for me. It's just 2 good wrestlers went at it, had a solid match. I think it would have been talked about a lot more if it was a Raw Women's Championship on TV, like on a Raw. I think people definitely would have been talking about it, but it wasn't. It was WrestleMania. And I don't think it was a WrestleMania caliber match, but it was a good match and Bianca continues to reign. And it looks like they are going to play into her having a streak at Mania because they definitely have been made sure that that she's 3-0 at Mania. And as they should definitely play into that. She's the EST, and I think a streak for the EST is definitely something you should capitalize on.
Yeah, I think it'll tell an interesting and compelling story as she gets older and, puts on more bangers and the generation of women that come up. I'm very excited to see what happens. So I thought the match was all right, though. Again, he's, like you said, hurt by its spot on the card for sure. Overall, the match quality was good. 2 great workers. Never doubt either of those women's wrestling abilities. But comparatively to the Raw Women's Championship, I think it was the second best women's match on the card.
Let's move on to another match I'm just going to talk about because it is a match technically. It's Snoop versus The Miz. And it was supposed to be The Miz versus Shane, but Shane got hurt. The quad pulling, I guess him and his dad, he's definitely his father's son. That's for sure. Very similar injuries. But Snoop, definitely give him props for the improvisation. I know he was told to do this, but he still, he did what he could. I give half a star out of 5, 0.5 out of 5. It was not really a match. It wasn't a match. It was just there to eat up time, and it did well considering that little accident. And I don't really want to talk about this more than we really have to.
So I know you said shout out to Snoop, but it's actually Jessica Carr. I heard it come out after that she was the one that improvised and told Snoop to go in and do the rest of the match. So I do want to give her the credit there for that.
Good. I do like Jessica Carr. I remember when her and Ivar had a little thing during the Street Profits Raiders feud. She's funny. She's a good ref. I think she'll continue to be a great ref, and that's a good call by her. Definitely. Thank you, Bill, for shouting her out. So let's move on to the co-main, and that was Edge versus the Demon, Finn Balor. I was into this match. It was brutal, like we thought it would be. A great Hell in a Cell. Balor is a trooper, man. That dude is so good. Definitely a guy I want to see get 1 or 2 more world title reigns in him before he retires. He deserves it, and he showed why he deserves it. 1, he's talented as fuck, and 2, he's fucking tough as nails. That gash he got in his head, holy shit! And he just like refused to go. Like he's like, no, we're finishing the match, and they had to kind of just end it and check up on him, make sure he didn't die and his brains leak out of his head. And I'm glad that he is good and stitched up because that we need Finn. I love Finn. He has bad injury. His injury history just sucks, and I hate it because I just love to see him on my TV. And he performed. It was great. It was a great match. I love the spot where he went for the coup de grace on the table and like Edge got out of the way. And I feel like that's planned, and he knows Edge was going to get out of the way. But I feel like anyone else, even guys that are seasoned performers, would be nervous to do that because, like, what if I roll? That's easy to roll an ankle, but his mastery of the coup de grace, which I think is a pretty tough move. Like, I feel like it's easy to hurt yourself or your opponent doing that, and he performs it well every time. It's kind of like the buckshot lariat is a risky move. And yeah, he could definitely do a buckshot lariat if he's asked to do that because that guy is a technical master. But yeah, I love that spot. I think it's a simple spot. I know it's not like anything new or out of nowhere, but I still loved it. I thought it was a great visual, and him just like not rolling his ankle and just the way that smooth landing for it was awesome. But also like so many great images from that match too, like when he's trapped with the kendo sticks and like it looked like he was like choked, and he just sells so well. I think he doesn't get enough credit for how great. He sells. And then Edge is also, he's a Hall of Famer, man. So we know he was gonna go out there and perform too.
Both
This is a
entrances
tough,
were
brutal. Yeah,
both
good
entrances
interests.
were tough. Were sick too. I liked Edge coming out to Slayer. Never expected to hear Slayer at WrestleMania, so that's pretty cool. And the smoke bomb thing was a little weird, but like,
Did you like the helmet?
the helmet was sick. I thought the helmet was. Are
I
you talking
liked
about
it.
Edge's
I liked
helmet
it.
or Finn's helmet?
Yeah, no, Edge's helmet. The shiny.
I thought both were
skull.
sick. Personally, I thought both
Yeah.
helmets were sick. But yeah, I thought this match was brutal. 14 staples is what closed Finn's head. People also were reporting that there was a numbing agent. Finn came out on Twitter and said there was no effing numbing agent. So that just proves he is a tough son of a bitch. That is,
he's a badass.
he is badass. That match kicked ass too. I don't think it's I think in terms of like Hell in a Cell, I don't think it's gonna be like a genre defining Hell in a Cell match, but it was really cool. I also think Finn should have won. There is personally to me no reason, no storyline reason, no booking reason, no future endeavor reason for Edge to have won that match. Truly.
Yeah, I think you should have gave Judgment Day 2 wins instead of just the one. But yeah, I gave it 3.75 out of 5. Great match. I think it definitely could have been better. Like you said, it's not genre defining. And I think the cross 4, you got to be like really, really memorable and towards the upper echelon of that type of match or matches. And, but it was still fun. I loved watching it. And it was definitely worthy being the co-main for sure, I think. And now let's go to the main event.
I don't want it to be. I don't want to talk about this match. I am so fucking upset. I just don't get it. I don't get it. I don't get it. I don't get it. Did I tell you I don't get it? It's just like I don't understand. I just really, truly do not understand what the booking decision is. And I know Triple H came out after and was like, the story's not over. You guys just think that somebody's going to come to WrestleMania. Bro, the story was that Cody tore his fucking pec, wrestled a 5-star match in a Hell in a Cell, then came back, won the Royal Rumble, and then had all these other fucking shenanigans with the bloodline happen. The amount of run-in, the amount of interference this match had, the story would have been the story is not over by Cody winning the title. The story continues with him having the title. Like, he's red fucking hot. That's how you cool him off. Not having him win in this moment in time just makes no fucking sense. That is how you cool off your red hot babyface, is have them not beat the heel champion.
Yeah, it is just a strange ending and just so deflating and depressing. And my dad's just laughing his ass off and he's like, that's bullshit. And he loves Roman Reigns. he's bigger on Roman Reigns than Cody. And he knew it was just ridiculous that he keeps winning for this long. And that was the time to take it off him. That was the moment. Fuck the 1,000 days. Who gives a fuck? To make his reign memorable, we're not going to forget his reign. He wrestled in won 3 WrestleManias or something like that, or more than that.
3 WrestleManias in a row now. He has defended that title.
Yep, and we're not going to forget this reign. The bloodline and heel Roman Reigns is unforgettable. It's part of wrestling history. So you don't need 1,000 days. This was the time to start a new legacy, a new part of wrestling history. It was time to start Cody Rhodes' first WWE World title, his return to the company, him finally getting the Rhodes family to the very tippity top, because that's a top wrestling family. It was a great match, ruined by a terrible ending. I really struggled giving this a rating because if the ending was right, it would have been 5 stars. I ended up have 4.5 written down. I was teetering at 4.25. And like I said, the only reason it's not a 5 is because that fucking ending. It was overbooked. Roman Reigns matches always are, but There's certain things that had to happen. Like the Usos had to show up. Solo had to show up, but Solo didn't need to fucking show up twice. When he got kicked out, he should have fucking stayed out, and then Cody should have won. Sami and Kevin get involved in taking out Usos. That was a good call too. Just the second Solo, I love Solo, but keep him out. Oh my god, this is infuriating.
I was texting you. I was like, it has to be a dusty finish, right? It has to be, as the fucking like go home graphic is on there. I'm like, it has to be a dusty finish, right?
And that would have been great ending. That would have redeemed the shitty ending, because a dusty finish for Cody, the win, that would have been perfect. That would have been brilliant. Hats off to Triple H if that's what they did, but that's not what they did, because they're dumb fucks.
And I think that this is a great segue into talking about the other news that happened almost immediately after WrestleMania. It was talked about during WrestleMania itself. And that is that Endeavor, the parent company of the UFC, now owns the WWE. Vince McMahon gets paid for being a sexual predator. And now he is also going to be returning to his role. And I know Triple H comes out with this big promo on Monday night saying, nothing's going to change. We are all staying the same. And then literally report Vince McMahon tearing up the Raw script, changing things the second before Raw goes on air. Sick. Very happy that I've been investing a lot of time being in WWE over the last 10 months. Very, very happy. I feel very rewarded as a fan that I outspokenly was very happy about the change and how I don't want to support a sexual predator being the person running a company for something that I truly love. And now it's the same. And the best part too is Vince had an interview that day saying, I'm not going to be in the weeds of it, which, by the way, he said before previously when Eric Bischoff and Paul Heyman were apparently hired to run both Raw and SmackDown respectively. And here he is back in the helm, looking like a fucking cartoon villain with his penciled in mustache and jet black hair because he can't accept the fact that he's almost 80. Some things never change. Truly, some things never change. And we are recording this on the Wednesday before Tony Khan's big announcement on Impact or on AEW tonight. And I think this is crucial. I think that tonight is going to be the night where if AEW wants to win the war or start turning the tides in the war, you are going to have so many people who watched that Raw, which was fucking horrible. I tuned out after less than an hour. That Raw was awful. It was so bad. Nothing really happened. Nothing surprising. The most surprising thing was Riddle returned. And like, not to be like nobody was asking for that, but there were so many other things people wanted. Matt Cardona, Jay White, anybody else returning from injury. Even somebody being called up from NXT like Breaker or any of those guys. Like, nothing changed. Truly, I feel like I watched a Raw from 2019 and I hated it. Genuinely, honestly, fucking hated it.
So I've heard that Jay White has been on the fence about where to go. I think the Endeavor thing and Vince being Vince definitely made his decision for him. Same thing with Brian Cage. I don't think he was on the fence, but he is definitely leaning probably Ring of Honor, AEW. And then Miro, Andrade, CM Punk, they probably all texted Tony being like, love you. Keep us, bring us back or whatever, depending on the situation. Tony probably threw the biggest bash of the year Sunday night and just Monday. And he's just, he's probably still partying now, man. Or he's wrapping up the party because he's got that big announcement tonight. But yeah, but the party will continue after tonight too, I think, because tonight's gonna be a good AEW, and I think you're right. It could turn the momentum back to AEW's favor. Fuck Vince, go away. Sorry. Thank you for everything you've done in the past, but one, you're a creep. As a person, you're not thank you for everything you've done for wrestling, but as a person, you're not the best person. Sorry. That's putting it nicely. As creative, stop fucking up my beloved WWE. Stop it. Let Triple H do it. Just step aside. Endeavor, stop encouraging him. Endeavor, if you don't know what the fuck you're doing, just listen to what's out there. People want Triple H. Triple H has been doing a good job. Besides, I think it actually was probably his call to do that WrestleMania thing. That was bad. I mean, the Cody thing, but still, just put that aside. He's been doing a great job. Definitely has turned the tide to WWE after AEW was winning for a while. But my gosh, I don't know. I think this Endeavor purchase, I mean, I told you I was worried about it. And that was before I really thought about the Vince thing, because I tried not to. And I was more worried about because UFC is known for very expensive pay-per-views. And I was wondering if WWE would go back to, at least for the major four, go back to a pay-per-view schedule instead of PLLs being included in Peacock. I think the more minor one will still be on Peacock.
Well, they have a deal with Peacock through 2024. So
yeah, but you have to show their content and stuff like that. But what I'm saying is, like, if the contract doesn't say specifically we have to have the Royal Rumble, WrestleMania in PLL on our Peacock, I don't know if it says that. I feel like it probably doesn't. That sounds really specific. But I could see, or even if it's not until after 2024, maybe like those four get taken away and you have to pay $80 to watch them. I'm just worried. I'm worried about the future of the company after a really good year that made me excited to be a fan. And now I'm less excited. And go Impact and AEW.
Yeah, like I said, I know I just aired it, but like that Raw last night was so bad. It was on Cage Match. It's currently I think it's the 4th worst WWE show ever. And it is one of the worst, if not the worst rated Raw ever. Not what you want after the Raw after WrestleMania. And I saw something on Reddit earlier today, more or less saying, can we stop pretending like the Raw after WrestleMania means something? Because I genuinely think for the last 3 years, the Raw after WrestleMania has mean jack. I don't think anything good has happened on the last 3 Raw after WrestleManias.
No, I don't think so. I think the only thing that that was a surprise was, I think it was after WrestleMania 35. Sami came back, which was cool after a long injury. And then also on that night, Cardona and Kurt Hawkins beat Usos for the tag titles a night after they won it. And I actually like that because I like Cardona and Hawkins, even though they weren't given a chance, because then that was around when Heyman was given the reins on Raw, and Heyman does not like them. So they didn't really get given a chance, which sucks, but it was still a cool moment. I think that was the last time I was really interested in Raw. And also Undertaker attacked Elias on that one. Like, this was 4 years ago and I remember it. So like, it's been 4 years since a good Raw after Mania. And I remember some people were shitting on that one. Like that, not enough big things happened. I think it was well received for the most part, but not like completely. It was definitely the start of the fall of Raw after Mania, but it was the last one where things actually happened.
Well, there's plenty to talk about in terms of WWE WrestleMania Raw and the Endeavor purchase and what's going to happen in the future. And you can always let us know on social media what you think of that. And Juice, where can the people find us on social media?
You go to Twitter, type capital T, capital O, capital T, capital C, underscore capital P, lowercase o, lowercase d. Then you head over to Instagram and type no capitals, lowercase t, o, t, c, underscore p, o, d. And that's our Instagram handle.
Yes, and as we come crashing down to the on this episode of Top of the Cage. We want to thank you all so much for tuning in. And if you are listening to us on Apple or Spotify and you do not leave us a 5-star review, that means that you, specifically you, that person not leaving us that 5-star review, will not get 5-star content. And that is just a fact.
Fact.
And again, thank you all so much for tuning in, and we will catch you next time.